Great. We will do this briefly because we have a lot to discuss in the rest of the meeting, and we just met a couple weeks ago, so there weren't too many updates since we met in the Lodi. So if you can click through like this is just our goals for the year. I put this up again since we had a number of commission members that were not present at the last meeting. We did present this. So this is Idea to Biz, which we graduated. This is the same information that our Idea to Biz cohort. I think everyone's the same, aren't they? They were present at the last meeting. That's okay. So same update of we graduated our cohort, and to thank the commissioners for all their support, both with funding and support mentoring. Next. Stay Open Oahu. Alyssa's going to give a brief update. What is the update now?
Sure. So we had a partner meeting last week, or a couple weeks ago now, on the 29th. We will be doing another one in person. Location still TBD. Probably the beginning of 2026 to try to convene and have some more in-person interactions about building the disaster resilient ecosystem for small business. Other than that, everything's still the same. Still in procurement and yeah.
Still in procurement. Okay, next. We have George Yarborough here in the room. I don't know if folks can see him. I'm not sure how the camera is. George wave. George is our new EDA Economic Recovery Corps fellow assigned to this project. We have George with us for 18 months.
Until the end of October.
Next year, October. So, and feel free to bother George about all the things he's working on, but predominantly he's working on Bill 35, which is city-owned vacant properties that we've identified or working to identify for economic and community development and trying to figure out how to utilize those city properties. So that's Bill 35 that we've been working on for the last year. George is also working on some loan projects.
Small business
loan fund. Okay, so we'll update you more on that later. But I would, Bill 35 is somewhat in a pending status, and it's being reviewed by a number of city departments because it's not just OER's priority, right? It has housing, it has concessions, it has a number of things around how we change up how we use city properties. So it's, I would say it's making its slow but intentional way through the city. And we were just talking about on this side of the room to craft good policy. So, next. If you're in the room, you can't see the header, but this is the broadband Ho'ike, which was Constancio's project here in our office. Very successful event last month to bring together community orgs and policymakers to look at broadband access, everything from the hardwiring. I learned personally a ton around like all the undersea cabling and how we do that. As well as the access part for how we're training Kupuna or others who may just not have computer skills, access to tech, etc. So day one, we did 2 different site visits out in community, one in Ha'ula and one in Waianae that were very well attended, looking at what's happening in community. And then day 2 had more of a conference feel at Entrepreneurs Sandbox. We had lieutenant governors speak, we had mayors speak, but more presentations, roundtables, more like a traditional conference. Whereas day 1 was out in community. I don't know what our head count was. Does anyone know what our head count was? A large number of people. 80 people. It was a great turnout. So, this was our first time hosting this event. Last year, Kauai hosted. This year, we hosted, and in the room that day. And so there were folks from around the state, and in the room, Maui County raised their hand and said they would follow Honolulu's lead and host next year. So, which is great. Moving around the state. Okay, next.
I'll just say the broadband Ho'ike was established by the broadband Hui that kind of formed and has been meeting since the pandemic. And the Ho'ike, this whole broadband digital equity effort is related to the $400+ million that the state and other entities are receiving, both in infrastructure upgrades, as well as hopefully at some point, if the administration who knows, there's a lawsuit potentially on digital equity, but some other community-based funding of which we were expecting to receive about 1.4 million that is now pending. So the broadband Hawaii was organizing some of those efforts.
All right, Taste the Town Wahiwa, that was this past Saturday, organized by Guillaume, our sustainable tourism lead here in the office. I think I unfortunately had to miss it, but it sounds like it was a phenomenal event with over 40 vendors, I think about 10 restaurants, featured chefs, featured artists. We have photos up online as well as here. I actually think that bottom picture doesn't do it justice. I know I saw some of the other photos of the like crowded folks. So and great feedback thus far to do that local community-based placemaking, right? Which is one of our efforts here. So to get folks out to see what's happening in Wahiwa, to support local vendors, to support local businesses, talk about all of the amazing things happening in Wahiwa as a cultural and culinary destination that might be overlooked. So I think very successful. I know folks were like, let's do it again. We'll see if we do want to do it again, or we choose to move it around. I think that was one of the ideas that Guillaume had as well, was highlighting some of our diamonds in the rough kind of communities as well, like that, that are.
Is anybody are they utilizing that, thing that they built? The value, the kitchen?
Yeah, that was
That's what-
central in this. That's
Oh,
where it
that's
was
so
held
great.
and
You
showing
can
the-
actually see in the back there, if you look at the top picture,
Oh.
that was the product, pitching kitchen.
Oh.
And that's Alan Wong back there,
Wow,
who
nice.
was born and raised.
in Wahiwa. Yeah, so great. There we go.
And some of so there were 40 vendors. Majority of them have graduated from the INTK cohort. And so some of them are using the value added product development center, some of them are not yet. There's one, like I was talking to, she doesn't have enough money to buy the time there yet. But she wants to be there because her business is expanding rapidly and she needs it.
No, I'm serious.
I do.
For the long time.
For the loan, yeah.
Do they have so when they buy into it and then they have storage, how does that work? Is that pretty much how it is, like you have your little section, because I'm assuming you're buying time to work on your thing and because you're not gonna be toting it.
Yeah, so your membership depends on what your needs are. If you just need commercial kitchen space, if you need storage space, or you can do both, one or the other. If you need access to what's the machine called, the pressure machine?
Storage locker.
Yeah, so if you need that, if you need access to like a data scientist to help you with thinking about like different flavors for your seaweed chips or something like that.
So are they looking to replicate it in like in different areas too?
I mean, this is the largest value added product development center in the country. And so I think at this point for the state, making another investment on another island of this size and scope is not gonna happen. There are multiple related projects that are being pursued, not only the commercial kitchen for DOE, the Department of Public Safety and state hospitals, but there's a building to the left that they're building out the sensory experience. And so that's kind of more along the lines of what Alyssa was talking about. They do have some people already employed that do that professionally and could say like, oh, how to make a, 5 variations on the Caesar salad.
Right.
And so they give you the professional, but also the public feedback on your product. And so it's I think it's like an old gas station next door. I walked by it and I was like, that's where you're gonna put the sensory. Yeah, so it's a whole development, which is right in our zone in terms of how to support small farmers and value added products. They're super partners. They work with Alyssa a lot and they were so supportive of this project, and their vendors who are working with them, they all showed up. They have wonderful products, like, yeah.
And vendors sold out on Saturday. How popular it was, so. I will note in that placemaking, we are also, a sponsor in 2 weeks of, Keep It Kabuki. So similar shopping featuring local folks. So we are sponsoring Keep It Kabuki, which is on Small Business Saturday. So different neighborhood to feature all their shops and restaurants and everything as well. So, and then as we come to a close, projects and upcoming work. So the things not in yellow highlighted at the top, those are projects that are underway with, and the amount of funds. I think we've probably talked about all of them in the past. And then pending things, we've been applying for a number of new funding streams. So our Bloomberg application went in for the $1 million. We will hear likely in December, because it's in January. Let's start in January.
We won't hear till January.
Okay, January. We also, the office put in a proposal for the new state green fees for some sustainable tourism pilot projects and some workforce development. We are working on some new proposals for the climate resiliency fund for disaster mitigation for small business and also workforce. And the what? Yes, the HIFI grant is the, I always butcher the acronym, is the reinvestment fund. So the reinvestment fund was for $100,000 to continue our work on the food along the public transportation skyline, food access. We don't have a great name for food access. But food hubs and public land, food hubs at public transportation. That partnership. So those are new, the ones in yellow are the pending where we put in proposals and we'll keep you posted if we secure those outside funds. I think that's it. Any questions on the work in the last few weeks? It's been a busy few weeks at OER.
I did. I just wanted to say that commissioners, you guys will remember that one of our big initiatives the first year was to help with grant funding for the city. So this is a huge step for that. And I just want to thank the OER team for putting so much time into those grant applications. I know it's huge. It's a lot of work, so thank you. And then Olin, I see you. I just wanted to say two more things. Alyssa, can you please just loop me in on the disaster program that you're working on? I just want to like make sure I'm really like in tune with it and I understand it. I know how it's really important and I want to make sure I help you with outreach or whatever you need. And then George, can we meet to talk about Bill 35? Because I just had an interesting meeting with Andrea Topola as well. So I just want to make sure we're all synced up when we get a chance. And then Olin, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. I'm practicing with this raise my hand feature here. Yeah, so welcome aboard, George. Stoked to work with you in this new context. Just a quick question for Deb. The COFA benefits seems to have been like on our agenda for 2 years. Is that still like moving forward, or like I thought that was a priority and it was COVID funding and that the community needed those funds.
Yeah, it is still, if you want to scroll back up, for those funds are still being expended. So it's a slow but sure, I would say, sort of process. Amy can probably speak to it there.
All of the ones that are not highlighted are programs that we're actively doing right now.
Right, underway.
Okay.
Yeah, those
Okay.
are all projects that are underway. The majority of the funds that our contractor, We Are Oceania, have been on their administration and their outreach, of which it's a total of 500,000 of that 2 million. So we managed to get them a lot by describing how difficult the community is to reach. They can provide $9,000 to each, to any family whose loved one was died due to COVID, and they were not eligible for what all of us were eligible, which was $9,000 in funeral benefits under FEMA. So the city council created this program. We Are Oceania is now expending the funds, and they have through the end of 2026 to expend the funds. This is really a casework intensive program. as you can imagine, talking to families who not only lost someone, you're dealing with that loss, but additionally then trying to find the receipts of funeral expenses back to 2020 or 2021 is challenging. So we have relationships and have connected them with all the funeral homes here who agreed to work with us on this project, but it's a slow one by one process to get these funds out into a community that experienced the most severe
Right.
or highest number of COVID deaths among our different ethnic and nationality populations here.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I remember that. And my last question is there any way that, or does UH provide interim reporting for the good jobs? And I took a look at the site a couple weeks ago and I found not really broken links, but like, coming soon information. So I don't know if they have gotten, what kind of traction they have gotten for our investment into that program. It'd be good to get an update
I
there.
think you get better information, Owen, if you looked
Mm.
at our social media.
Mm.
It's been hard to get UH to feature this, even though we've added 5 million and they have the 16 million for good jobs. But
Mhm.
UHERO did a recent study. We also tried to push that out through social media. And it showed that people who completed their coursework through the Good Jobs program ended up earning on average like $7,000 more in annual income. So we're really pleased to see that whole point of the program is something that it is proving worthy of accomplishing. I will send out the link for the UHERO study. It's preliminary because the program is not complete, but they just pushed it out again. And of course, we linked it in our social media. And we've done a whole series with, I'm not sure which morning show it is, but Lena Girl is on it, doing more of the storytelling aspect. So for example, the person who graduated from the plant propagation program and that they were immediately employed, one at Pulo Ranch, one or two in the city. But that's also the point of this program, is that we're training for jobs that help to diversify our economy, number one, and number two, that are immediately available for hire. And their wages are over $18 an hour. So that's like kind of the criteria of the program.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I when I looked at it, I noticed some new types of training like tree trimming. So I've been trying to pass it out to young folks that are looking for jobs. But yeah, if everyone can take a look at that, they do have some programs that are expanding and I think it's completely free, right, to join?
It is completely
Yeah.
free. And you can go to the Good Jobs Hawaii website. It's completely free, certificate and other training. It'll probably go through the middle of next year based on, just the number of people that are signing up for programs. But you can't tell what is a Good Jobs Oahu funded program versus Good Jobs Hawaii, because we decided to make it easy for the consumer in that you go in and all of the programs are under the Good Jobs Hawaii website. And so, there's a plethora of free training that's available from these remaining federal funds. One quick answer to a question that Deb asked was, do we have any projections for how many families might receive funding under the death benefits program? And our data from the Department of Health was, I believe it was, now I'm questioning myself, around 160 or 200 families, somewhere in that category. And we've reached, I believe, about 70 so far through We Are Oceania, and still conducting regular outreach that we're also integrating with some of our community equity teams work. So anything else?
No, that's right on point. There's weekly meetings between OER and We Are Oceania. And so they're trying to pivot and to do really intentional outreach week to week. And they're gaining some momentum, but again, the receipts and more of a, complicated home, housing unit. So, in terms of like getting the right person to follow up and get all that documentation.
Truly a hard to serve community.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions, commissioners? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to action items. First one is the vacancy left by Reed, which is so sad. We miss him. But Amy, did you want to talk about this in more detail?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that shortly, thanks to George's help too, we'll have 3 applicants. And so they have submitted cover letters, resumes, and we'll select one to send to the mayor, hopefully in December, and be able to swear someone in after a hopefully speedy and non-consequential committee process with the city council. And that will also be going through the fun times at the city council.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay. All right, we're gonna go on to the report for 2025, our pig reports. Olin, are you doing this one?
Yes, I'm doing part of it. Let me grab
Okay.
the agenda. All right, so if you guys look at your packet or it's online, the link, please review the draft Economic Revitalization Commission annual report. So thanks to the staff, Eliza and myself for drafting that. Max put in a bunch of content as well too. We still have to put in today's meeting, for example, but we have summarized our year. We put in summaries of all the meetings, some of the advice and guidance that we provided and what's important to us, and then a little bit of preview on the work up ahead. And so definitely take some time to look over. Your names are going to be on this. And so it's important for us to be on the same page with how we interacted this year with the commission and with OER staff. I don't know if you want to add anything, Eliza or Amy, about the draft.
No, just to say, it's always an interesting exercise doing this at the end of the year, kind of trying to summarize everything that we've done and that we want to do in the coming year. And so it takes a lot of group effort, and I just want to thank Olin and Tony and the staff for all participating and going back and remembering all those details from a year ago. I think we'll talk about it, but we have some decisions to make about how we're going to use our funds for next year. But I think overall we've done a lot of really great work for a new commission that didn't really have a lot of guidelines when we started. So just want to say thanks to everybody for being so hardworking and diligent in this commission work.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. So no other questions on the report? You can hit us up directly if you have questions after you guys are reading it, or feel free to just put comments directly into the document using the Google features there. Okay. All right. Next agenda item is
Hold on, Olin.
uh-huh.
Oh, does this include what we're gonna do next year, or is that to come? Because I do see some things in here about 2026, but remember last year we decided to focus on agriculture as a theme? So I don't know if there's anything similar to that for next year.
Yeah, so we got that on the agenda. So in
Oh,
2
okay.
items from now, yeah, we're gonna tackle that. We have some ideas and wanted to run it by you guys, and so, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the report just has more generic preview versus like what we've decided. So based on what we decide, we might have to adjust that section a little bit as well too. But yeah,
Okay.
good catch, Greg. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on the report? Okay. Excellent. So can I move on, Chair, to the next item?
Yes, please.
Yes. All right. I got approval. Review and so we're going to review and approve the proposed use of commission directed funds. So I'm going to direct you to that page that you guys have that should have the title is the PIG report. It says determine the use of commission's discretionary $25,000 in fiscal year 26. And so we batted around a bunch of ideas with staff. And so we've got these three ideas that we wanted to consider funding. So we've got $25,000 as a deadline for us to expend all of this money. And we could decide to select one of these three. We could decide to split it up between two or even all three of these. Staff had given us the idea about expanding idea to biz cohort. Greg, you showed a lot of enthusiasm the last time, and I joined you for like maybe we could do this again in a different location and possibly even expand some outside funding. And so we have that on the agenda. So consider an expansion of idea to biz. We can use a lot of the work that we've done to date and then just take that template and take that into a different community. The second idea is to leverage the work of the Oahu Business Connector. So we've got a lot of partners there, and it seems like AI is the most disruptive component or force that's coming to, and that will impact a lot of small businesses. So one idea was for us to host some AI workshops, not directly, but through our partners. So we provide some funding, maybe some subject matter expertise, and allow our partners within the connector, like the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce, to tap into this resource and have them put on these workshops for their community based on the things that's important to them. So having a series or funding a series of AI workshops through the Oahu Business Connector, and also that idea helps to bring additional value to why should you join the Oahu Business Connector. So supply and demand issue here. So for example, our idea to biz cohort, we were able to use our partners from the Business Connector to put on and get paid for running the classes in our first cohort. So yet another extension of that. And then the third one is an idea that Amy had, I guess, took part of a workshop, and there's a book. I read part of the books, and so this is one really good idea that has scaled in other communities. Like we could start a small bets fund, and so this is where it's really grassroots level. It's not a lot of money, $1,000 to $2,000. You let the communities decide what they want to do, and then we can scale what works. And so it's sort of creative placemaking, pilot enterprise. And so these are the three that's on the table. So I'm going to pause there and see if you guys have any questions or if you have other ideas as well.
The idea is, how much did that, like, how much funding? You know, like, if you were to, like, do all three, or, you know, is it doable to kind of connect all three, or, but since you did one there? So.
Yeah, we were able to do Idea Biz, thankfully, with the $25,000 you gave us. Ideally, we would be able to scale it a little bit and provide a little extra support, like being able to pay for a venue, being able to pay for childcare, and potentially maybe even pay our partners more. So we probably would have to go after maybe at least matching funds to administer the program. But I mean, we did it for 25,000 before we could. So.
Again, the 25,000 was matched by a financial institution, and a huge bonus to the participants to stay engaged and to complete the program. And I was thrilled to, you know, I blinked my eyes a few times to see one of the participants at the Kinky Entrepreneur Show. She is a videographer, photographer, and she got 2 gigs. Recently, she used her $2,500 from the credit union for $1,200 starting, $1,250 to start, to $2,500 in the end, to buy her brand new camera equipment. That was awesome. She showed me her camera equipment. She's so excited. She's booking gigs. She's doing it. She's real business, and she looked great. I believe in her. You know, that camera is awesome. But I bought a pair of $400 cowboy boots from another of our idea to biz graduates. They're so expensive. But I know they're gonna be quality. I will wear them to our next board meeting here.
Well, it just seems like, is that their natural, because you got the momentum now, right? It takes that first time, and now, that would be great. I mean, if we only have 25,000, it seems like the small bets doesn't seem like that's a big investment too, like 1,000 to 2,000, like, I don't know, you do two things, right? And then.
We also have a strong feeling we could go out there and get money for idea to biz.
Yes.
Given the success, the data, the metrics, and whether it's us going out on our own, I felt like Greg and Olin are like, well, there's some people we could connect you with that we could do this.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony's bank could hop on the bandwagon. I do not feel like this one is that hard. But the other two, AI workshops, Alyssa, maybe you can talk a little bit about the two that have been conducted and the groups that we've worked with on those already.
Yeah, so there's the Hawaii Center for AI, I believe is a nonprofit. And they have sent some folks who have done workshops with us at Kapolei Hale. And then there's another organization that has somebody who works for them that just does AI and was willing to volunteer his time also at Kapolei Hale.
And they did like a more generic one for small business and then one focused on social media, marketing and branding. And our resource connector told me, like, this is like a whole new world for startup entrepreneurs because you can like do half of the startup work through AI. It really cuts down on the cost and the work to start a new business. So just a little background on that. Olin, I know, had a vision. I don't know if you have that. You can fully capture it in a couple paragraphs. Is there anything else you wanted to add on that?
For the AI workshops,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what I'm hearing, and disruption is real. And I know that a lot of larger companies have resources and not so much the community-based groups, nonprofits, and small businesses. So this is one way that we can sort of get in front of it and provide some resources. So it doesn't look like it would cost a lot of money to do this as well. Yeah, I think as we were talking about this, it was seem like we either select the first bullet and put all the money there, or we might select the second and third and split the funds in some amount to do those both. So that seemed to be the best options.
On the small bets fund, I don't know if anyone else has some comments to add in there, but Deb and I have been working with a group that was brought together by Sean Avendano from Weinberg, our Department of Housing and Land Management, and other community-based organizations and, different, Michael Epp from KKB, Andrew O'Keefe from Islander Institute, Gavin Thornton, who was with us, but Deb and my interest is around with this group, community development, community corporations that we might be able to work with because we're one of the counties in Hawaii that really lacks a strong private sector or nonprofit partner. As many more developed economic development offices have. Kauai County has a very strong Hawaii Economic Development Board that they push their money through, that they coordinate on their projects, etc. We're still building capacity on this island in terms of strong partners with staffing and ability to work with us on larger projects, whether it be transit-oriented development or like the cross-sector partnership or say the food hubs. But in this case, what we've learned is we're reading the book Strong Towns by Charles Marone, if anyone else has taken a look at it. And he really I mean, there's many different points if you want to listen to it while you're out training for a half marathon, but he basically believes, you know, cities are here for the purpose of sustainability of the people and the place. The federal government, yes, it's about economic growth and GDP forever on an upward trajectory. But cities, in the context of how different governments operate, need to be able to sustain our operations. And what typically does that is property tax. And so if you're trying to maximize property tax revenue, you really need to support those small businesses, whether it's the bodega in New York or here, it's the small Chinese restaurant takeout or the new Filipina guava mama down in the Pig and the Lady, because ultimately those are the folks that pay the property tax that help sustain the quality of life for all of our residents. And a big way that you can do that is talk to the residents and make sure that, you know, the sidewalks are well kept so that a mom can push her stroller to the market. Make sure that there's parklets, so if people want to enjoy a restaurant but be outside, there's other spaces for them. The little small bets, the pop-up markets, like we helped to do with in Wahiwa the other weekend. These are the things that really bring vitality and thus economic activity to our smaller neighborhoods on this island. And the small bets would, in my mind, encourage that those community organizations to do more, would create opportunities for us to work with them and hopefully instill that civic pride, the connection between the businesses and the people who might be, you know, advocates for dog training in public parks or something, those who are just really community engaged. And so I look at that as hopefully stimulating the development or growth of community development corporations or similar organizations on this island, who really take ownership of what's happening in their communities for the small businesses they patronize, etc.
I had a few comments. I think that idea to this needs to keep continuing. So I'd like to hear, not necessarily now, but is there any part of the 25,000 we need? Because if we spend it and then you need it, that's not good planning. So I'd like to just know, it sounds like you might not need any of it, but which is fine, but if you can raise it, but we'll try to raise it. But anyway, maybe we can reserve part of it just in case you need it, like say, just guessing half, maybe. So then you just have to match it, and then at least you can go on, because I'd be ashamed if we didn't leverage it, you know. And then AI, it seems like we could do that almost for free, you know, because I think the AI that people need to know is pretty basic. And if we get some speakers to volunteer, we could pay them, I guess, but it's not a huge amount of money. We could probably do something for free or nearly free, but I think that's a good thing to do just for general education. And then the small bets, maybe we should pilot it because we've never done it before rather than just launch it. We should maybe take 5,000 or 6,000 or some of them. Just try a few of them and then report back and see how did it go? Like, what did you learn from that? Because maybe we'll, refocus it or something, but we could certainly pilot that. That seems like a good thing to do. It's pretty broad right now, right? So I mean, I don't know if we would select a few things, similar things to do, see how that goes. But anyway, that's kind of my overall reaction. I think they're all good ideas, but I like the idea of the AI being our focus for 2026. I noticed this on the back page, but so AI will definitely be on the radar, for us going forward, one way or another. It's amazing. I just saw a clip, report this morning on the fact that what is the tractor company?
Oh, the Deere. John
Yeah,
Deere.
they have AI driven farming now, which makes total sense because otherwise you're just sitting in the tractor for like 8 hours. I mean, and there's nothing that you could hurt. So if it goes haywire, like it's not gonna like kill somebody. So it just kind of goes, right? It's thinking, yeah, there's definitely uses, but I don't think our farmers are ready for that yet. Well, that kind of thing. But our businesses in general need to know about AI. They should start He should be using it. Even
Well,
if
yeah,
it's just,
how to utilize it as a tool.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, even for the younger generations, like even what's happening in schools where they used to be like, oh, no AI. And now all of the schools are behind it because it is a reality. So it's how do you ask the questions? How do you use it as a productive tool? You know, versus doing all the work. And that's who's gonna keep the jobs because they know how to utilize AI. So,
Our
yeah.
current business owners aren't that young, so.
no,
might need a
I,
little,
well,
little
yeah.
help.
Oh, 100%. Well, I'm a little anti, like, what am I doing here? But,
So I don't know if that helps, but I would wanna know first, you know, what ID to biz needs. Because I don't know what that is, so.
Is it a question right now?
No.
Let's stop a little bit.
Greg.
Think about it, but that's would be my priority of the three. Make sure you have what you need.
If we could do all three, I think that would be ideal, literally ideal, because I think they're all great ideas.
So, sorry, I just wanted to chime in. So I like those ideas. Greg, I think in my mind, that idea to biz was such a success, and Greg and I and Olin all attended the graduation, and it was just really inspiring. And just keep in mind these are people who just have ideas, most of them, and they haven't really started their business, and we kind of take them from the ground up. Some of them had started already, but most of them had not, is my understanding. And I'm following most of them on Instagram, and it's just so inspiring. And I think in my mind, it's kind of a legacy project for the commission that we could keep going and just be really proud of going forward. I wonder if there's some way to, and I think we should involve AI into the idea to biz programming. And then also wanted to suggest that Nam Vu from the Hub has been teaching AI classes for business, and I think he may want to help us as well, and probably for free or low cost. I don't want to sell him out straight up, but I know that he's very willing to help. And so we should look into that. And then the small bets fund, yeah, I mean, if we could do a pilot and give, $1,000, $2,000 to a program and see how it goes, I think that that would be a win-win. And I'm very confident that we can all raise money for matching funds for the idea to biz. I think that that's one of the benefits of this amazing commission that we have is that we all have this network that we can reach out to. And so I guess that's just my 2 cents for what it's worth. But um, thank you guys for considering all this. Is there any other thoughts? Do you guys anyone online? Olu, Keone?
I don't have anything else to add. I liked all the ideas that were put forward.
Yeah, same. I mean, just gotta figure out how to make a decision.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we brought at least some options to the group. Like we were thinking about this. We've met a number of times. We bounced our own ideas, and so these are the three that shook out. And so ideally, given the timing of when we have to expend this, if we feel like it's not too quick, I'd love to see if we can make a decision now.
So someone can propose a scheme,
A theme?
a scheme.
Oh,
or
scheme.
How do you?
So let's just randomly, so say 50% goes to idea to biz. So that's 12,005. And then let's just say, I don't know how much we need for AI, 12,005. So let's say 2,500 goes to AI. I don't know if that's enough. I guess we could say 5,000. I don't know.
It can be enough.
Yeah, exactly. But the system said 2,500. And so that leaves us another 10,000 for the small bets. Maybe that's more than we need for small bets, but we could give a little more to idea to biz. But because if we had more than 25, we could do so much more, right? It's not like that's the ideal number.
Right.
So let's say we said, okay, let me just adjust that. So if idea to biz is 15,000. And AI is 2,500, and small bets could be 7,500. Those are just,
Okay, so Greg, your proposal is how much for?
because I think
15
donors
for
want to know that
ideas.
we're spending our own money on it too, right? They don't want us to just walk away. So
Of course.
15 for idea to biz, maybe 2,500 for AI, maybe the balance of
Small bets.
Hey,
7,500.
Amy, is there any communication with Oahu Economic Development Board? I mean, is there any chance that they would support our initiative on small bets or something like that with funding?
So George just talked to them,
Uh-huh.
try to work with us on the small business, and they just said they just don't have capacity. We did work with them as our fiscal sponsor for broadband Ho'ike.
Uh-huh.
But Deb and I are working with Wei Fang, who is connected with Better Block Hawaii. And we really think like an organization like that or OEDB, if they'd be willing to do it, would be our small bets contractor.
Okay.
And all of these, because they're under 50,000, we can do direct purchasing, direct agreements. So we could, instead of having to like RFP or as Alyssa did with Idea to Biz, like create how to use the 25,000 for the first time. And that's impossible. They're all possibles.
So we could get matching for the small bets, maybe. Right, like the groups. Maybe from those
I feel like with
communities.
the pilot, people might, they have us out there on. Maybe
I
75,
think
maybe
you
next
might
year.
have,
if it's
my sense
successful.
would be a better chance of fundraising on the idea to biz.
Yeah.
That should really-
Well, the money that we applied for parklets was with Better Block for Kaliki back in 2020 or 2021. And we could, I mean, we could just reach out to Wei. I think she does the books for that.
So it wouldn't necessarily be a pilot if you're doing it again, right? Or could you you make that argument?
It wasn't
say
a
that-
fund like.
It was, yeah, we applied for funding with them
Specific.
from like the AAR. Yeah, that was all that was.
Trying to say there's like a storyline, page story that you could make an argument to make it easier to raise funds for.
75 and not the as a pilot.
I think, well,
Maybe just tweaking the numbers in my head. Maybe the idea with idea to biz is we're trying to wean it off of our money. So maybe the first year is 25, maybe the second year is 20, third year might be 15, and just try to replace that money with other money. So that's more supportive of idea to biz. But then with 5, maybe it can mostly go to small bets because maybe we can just do the AI workshops on a volunteer basis. It's or a cheap basis. Maybe that's 1,000.
Well, you know, if you think about it too, Eliza's idea, like rolling in AI to idea to biz, like that could be another. So, you know, like kind of satisfy a little bit of those people that instead of going to these workshops, maybe they go to idea to biz.
Maybe the
Right.
expert would be willing to teach.
Yeah, because and then, yeah, you've got a little bit more captive audience, more directed, a little easier
Yeah.
to work with. So then that justifies the 20,000, you know, more.
Yeah, it
to-
could be, yeah, because
to
they can help with the AI.
Yeah, because then, yeah, we kind of combine those two in a weird
Yeah.
way, and then the rest of it too is small bits.
So 20 and then 5 for the small bets.
Yeah, it can be both, yeah.
so the first proposal was 15,500, 7,500. This second proposal is 20,000 for idea to biz and 5,000 for small bets.
Yeah, 0 for AI.
and
Okay,
0
so Greg, are you making a motion then?
Well, we're gonna move on the last one.
Okay.
Because that, I mean, the first one was, we were just talking.
Does anyone, do we want to have a couple options before you guys take a vote?
Sure.
Does anyone want to, if Greg proposes 20 and 5, does anyone else want to propose a different
Allocation.
allocation?
I like what Greg propose as my
Yeah.
option.
Me too.
Always change it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Discover it's not working.
But I feel like if you kind of roll those two in, that just
Yeah.
takes out a whole group of things that we're gonna have to figure out. You know,
I feel
focus
good
on two
about
things.
the cohort that will happen,
Mhm.
and maybe you'll have more money this year. Last year.
This is also money that needs to be encumbered by June 30, 2026. So again, it might take some time to go out and do that fundraising for idea to bids. Might actually push us into the next
Yeah.
fiscal year, really, by the time we secure up there. Depending on how aggressive you want to fundraise.
So I guess I moved to the allocation. We need to be small.
Yep.
So 1805,
So
0 to AI.
chat.
Well, the AI will come through the cohort, I guess.
Mhm.
But
I like that. Yeah.
Does everyone understand the motion that we're voting on? So it's 20,000 for idea to biz and then 5,000 for the small bets. Idea to biz integrating the AI.
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Awesome.
All
That
right.
was
Chair, can I
pretty,
move on to number 3?
yeah, that was pretty painless.
Okay.
Good job, everyone.
All right. Moving on. So now is when you guys whip out your calendars. We've got options here. So we've got to set our meeting dates for next year. So I'd love to get like what we did last year. Just we have 2 for each month. Can we just look at your calendars and whichever one lands with the most number of commissioners, it's it. So for January 20th or 27th, anyone want to say something that they can't do one of those? We'll just do the negative confirmations. Any no's for either the 20th or 27th?
Don't we have stuff we have to do as commissioners, right? All of the stuff. The
Financial.
the financial disclosure, right?
The admin stuff.
And so, yeah, and that has to be done by January 30th.
So having heard none, I would suggest the 27th for January just to get it later in the month. It's probably a busy early January. All right, so 27th? How about
Yes.
March? Anyone no for the 24th or 31st?
I'm fine.
You're fine, okay. So let's do the first option for the rest if you guys have no. So we'll take the 24th for March. Amy, I'm assuming you're looking at or you're marking these down or someone. Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And next is May. Anybody no for the 19th or 26th?
No on the 19th. No for me on the 19th.
No for 19th. Okay, so we hear some no's on 19th. So sounds like the 26th. Any no's for 26? All right, 26th it is. July, any no's for the 21st or 28th? Is it your birthday? Anniversary?
I think that
Nope.
some schools start that last week of July, so I wonder if the week of the
Hmm.
20th might be better. I don't know. For us that have little kids.
Oh.
Okay.
Amy, can we consider a date that's not on here?
Of course.
Or are you saying the 21st is the
Yeah, no, I
suggestion?
was saying the
Okay.
21st, if that's okay.
Okay, yep, let's do the 21st and no one says no. All right, September is the most popular birth month of the year, 22nd or 29th.
Is
Is it
it?
your birthday? It is, yeah. September 3 is the number one date. Yeah, you subtract 9 months and you can
I
figure
wasn't
out what.
aware of that trivia.
Yeah. So 22nd, 29th, any no's? So
29th is better for me.
okay, let's do 29th then, having heard no other no's. Last one, November 17th or 24. Any no's?
What is Thanksgiving next year?
26.
26th.
So sounds like we should do the 17th then?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do the 17th. All right, cool. So we got that marked off. And Chair, can I move on to the next topic?
Yep,
So some
please.
of
All right.
the states. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get the I'm hoping that we'll get like just calendar invites out to everyone, so it'll be automatically blocked on your calendar. Okay, so for the last topic, we still have our pig, and the pig is recommending that next year we just dedicate the year to AI. And there's just so many topics there. So if you look at our proposed paragraph there, AI foundations for local government, small business, resilience, economic development, workforce training, credentialing, municipal data governance and procurement, operational uses in tourism, permitting, city services. These are things that are well underway in some city departments and some that we haven't started at all. So I think it'd be good for us to consider breaking these up into an agenda where each month we'll tackle the month. We'll bring in the subject matter experts that pertain to that particular topic. We'll dig in and see if there's some action items that can happen from that. But it's a good year for us to get in sync, and then perhaps we could also be a little stick of dynamite to get AI moving quicker or faster in different parts. And so it would require commissioners to adopt a month like we did last year so that we can make sure that you just have one meeting that you go all out looking for the right speakers, doing some research and just making sure that we're prepped up, that it's a meeting that's full of insight and things that possibly are actionable. So that's our suggestion for 2026. And so unless you guys have other ideas, I'll just pause there. If you guys have comments, suggestions, improvements, split year with an additional topic.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I think I really like this, and I think that when we were talking about it in our small group, I think that we all kind of felt like if we don't focus on AI, we've really missed the boat, and we're doing a disservice to our businesses here, who are so many of them are behind on this curve, and so I think we really thought that really we had no choice but to somehow focus on AI to do the right thing for the business community.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think it's
Yeah.
great. I think it's also focusing on government using AI, right? Not just the businesses, so that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a great topic for the year.
Yeah, we'll have case studies. Like if it's your one, we'll look what other cities have used the topic of the day, break those down, summarize that, make that report available to the relevant departments and so forth. So if you guys are okay with that, then what I'm going to suggest is that the pig will create the agenda for the January meeting, and then we'll lay out suggestions for the rest of the year, and then we'll start to recruit commission members into tackling one of those upcoming meetings.
Okay.
Did I miss anything, Amy or Deb? Nope. Yeah, Amy actually had come up with an outline of some suggested topics, and I actually got pretty excited. Like there's a lot to learn, and a lot of Kuleana there too. Just AI is just so disruptive.
AI came up with very meta. AI came up with the ideas for the AI meetings.
Yeah, some recursive sort of living there. So, all right. So I'll pass it back to you, Chair.
All right, thanks, Olin. Thanks, everybody. So, moving on, we are going to hear from Greg about our procurement, our small business pig. So, Greg, you want to go ahead and tell everybody what we've decided?
Yeah, thank you. This is an ongoing project. We've been at it a couple of years now, but it's evolved and I think it's in a good place now. Basically, the bottom line is we're pursuing a law change at the state level to permit local preferences. Because right now, in our research through the pig, we discovered we can't really do anything. And I think that actually came from our procurement people because they pointed out the state statute that doesn't allow them to offer a preference because they have to just get the best price. That's obviously not going to happen if you have a preference. And so good thing we did that work though, because we have a lot of research that we've done. And so we have a foundation now to say that, we're not just like making this up, this is what is being done around the country. as I thought about the various preferences that states offered, I think initially I was pretty aggressive. I was thinking, well, maybe we'll go for a high percentage, just across the board or something. But that's probably not gonna happen, and it's may not be a good use of taxpayer money. So, we have to be responsible on what we propose, right? And we're government. And so, then I was thinking, well, we don't want it to be too small though, because it's not gonna motivate anyone. It's like 1% across the, I don't know that many people are gonna come out of the woodwork. So, where I'm at right now is I circulated the draft that existed at the time. I've tweaked it. Now that I'm in the draft, which I sent to Glenn Mackay to put in a bill format, starts out at 10% for contracts under 250,000. And then it tiers down to 2% for contracts under 10 million. So the problem with asking for too much is going to cost too much. And last year, I think it was the state procurement office came out against the local preference at the time. I think it was HB 723 for 15%. They said it's just not good use of money. So I think that was a little bit, I have this philosophy: pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. So I was kind of tempering my aggression with that, but then I thought I'd get too conservative. So now it's a mandatory preference, not just permitted, and it goes from 10% down to 2%. And I figure if we're gonna start, we want to start a little high because, if anything, it's not gonna be increased. If anything, it'll probably be decreased, by the powers that be. And I'm sure research will have to be done on the effects to the economy, but I just feel like those numbers would be high enough to get attention from businesses, but not so high that because of the tiering also that we're gonna lose a lot of money. And if you factor the offsetting benefits against that, I think you can get to the point where you feel like it's a good decision to do something. And so where it is right now is I talked today to Anthony Miranda, yes. It's very helpful. He works with the city and he does a lot of lobbying legislation. So we talked about a strategy. Once the bill is formatted, Glenn had it formatted in my first draft, but they have to reformat my revised draft because I don't know if you ever work with these bill formats. They're really hard to work with because if you make a change to it, it messes up the whole format of draft. I don't know what they use. Maybe that should be a technology assignment to figure out how they can. Because I think the lawyers keep a tight control over these things. But and so once that's formatted, I'm going to send it to Anthony. He wants to be kept in the loop, and then we're going to see if we can find a House representative to back it up in the House so that they're proceeding simultaneously. What are the odds of this happening? I don't know, but I think regardless if it happens this session, it's good to put this in play and to discuss why aren't we spending more money here locally. And we are, it's just like on accountants, which I'm nothing against accountants, but there's a lot of other types of businesses in town. And it's not gonna be introduced as a city package because well, I think strategically too, since it's gonna impact the entire state, it's probably better coming from a senator or representative than coming from a city. Because it's mandatory against all counties. So, I don't know the dynamics of that, but the city can certainly back it if it by the commission. I don't know if the commission can lobby or submit testimony, but
You're voting on today.
okay. Well, the thing is, when we vote on this, I just wanted to say that maybe we vote on it in principle or something because the actual wording has changed from
Correct.
when I sent it to you last week. So I don't know what.
You usually a commission, so the commission is able to support legislation as long as if you all vote to do so as a commission, right? Otherwise, folks can do what they want on their own. Generally, you're not voting, and bills change through the session as well. So what you need to vote on is the concept of what you're looking for in the bill, and not okay, exact word for word what the policy is, and then the commission is then given permission, and usually there's a new pig formed, that pig then can go in and represent the commission to support the passage of the legislation.
So we can't use the current pig to do that.
You can have the same people on the pig, but right now the pig's purpose is to, research
Recommendation.
and make a recommendation, so then you would say, these are the people authorized on behalf of the commission. The next step, it could be the same people, but,
Because the current pig is actually pig number 2, anyway.
correct,
Yeah.
so that's up to
But
you
do we
all.
have any questions, comments, suggestions, criticisms, anything from anybody?
No, I just want to say thank you to Deb and Greg for putting this together. And just to clarify, so this bill actually it authorizes the counties to have, it gives state authorization to the counties to have a preference, right? Correct?
It actually goes further, because when I was researching what had been tried before, people are really aggressive. Like for CPAs, it's a mandate that you give the CPAs a 20% discount on their bid. So I think a fallback can be if the law isn't playing well as a mandatory thing, it can be a permitted thing. But as I thought through it, I was thinking, well, if it's permitted, everyone's on their own, is anything actually gonna happen? Versus if we say this is gonna be how it is, then everyone has to fall in line. You know, so there's definitely pros and cons to it. But I thought that if we go on with an authorization, not a mandate, we're not gonna be able to make it a mandate. You know, it's gonna be hard to change it that way. But if we go on with a mandate and it's receiving some flack, and we always have the backup plan B that, okay, we'll just say you're authorized to do it and just leave it up to the counties to decide what they want to do. You know, we may get some push, I don't know if we'll get pushback. I mean, there's a group of counties, right? The county, Anthony was telling, there's a cohort.
Yeah.
Is it the mayors of the county?
Hawaii Association.
That they can weigh in, right?
Yeah.
And maybe as a group, they'll decide what to do. Maybe they'll say you need to change percentages by this, or, right? I mean, it's fine. But we're just giving them kind of the structure to think about it. And in a way, it's easier for workers if they don't have to decide. They're just saying this is the way it is, you know? Like if you go to our procurement people, I don't think they want to have to interpret it. They just want to know, what am I supposed to do, right? And you can't blame them. You know, that's their job. So the bill is going to be introduced because it's going through, you know, the legislature, which is going through the cities. I guess the question for us is, do we, as a commission, do we want to support this kind of law? You know, that's totally up to everyone around the table, really.
I just want to say thank you for the work you folks put in. I think that, you know, the core concept is really solid, and it's, you know, it follows through on what we've been talking about, using procurement as an economic development lever. I really like the tiered local preference structure. I think it's a smart way to do it, and like it's not like overreaching or making like the large contracts like more risky or complicated than they already are. I have a couple of questions, maybe for feedback. Kind of felt like the economic rationale in it could be a little bit stronger. You know, adding more things around keeping dollars circulated, supporting small and mid-sized businesses, you know, like the workforce development and capacity, local capacity and resilience, so we're not dependent on external vendors. I mean, you can make COVID arguments around that. I think there's going to be administrative concerns about the bill, like how self-certification will be handled, and how compliance can be monitored without adding significant burden on whoever's administering. And also curious about how, like, I don't know a lot about this, Greg, but maybe you do, is like, I remember something about like, as part of the Commerce Clause, something like a dormant Commerce Clause that kind of restricts when you try to limit interstate commerce. But I know these like local procurement policies have been implemented in other places. So I wonder if it might be good in the bill to just acknowledge it and show that we've done the due diligence and that this fits within other acceptable or like successful models, and not in violation of that clause.
Yeah, great feedback. On the last point, there have been cases challenging it, and these preferences have been upheld probably to a point, and I don't think we're going over the edge and asking for things here. But I think as part of testimony, and I certainly would include my testimony, would be some citations to cases that uphold local preferences that have been litigated, because that, I think that might be a question that comes up. So I think it's a question of how, how strict are they, how aggressive are they? But that gets into maybe the percentages you pick ultimately. And by the way, the draft that I circulated does not have the recital that I was working on, which says the legislature finds that supporting local businesses strengthens Hawaii's economy, creates jobs, creates capacity, and enhances economic and environmental sustainability. Too much governmental funds are being spent on non-Hawaii contractors who do not pay taxes, create local jobs, or build the Hawaii economy. Local businesses often face barriers to competing for government contracts due to higher costs and their limited size and capacity. The purpose of the act is to amend the Hawaii Procurement Code to provide for reasonable preferences to Hawaii vendors in bidding for contracts from purchasing agencies. The act will provide for local preference that will help level the playing field for Hawaii contractors who are capable of providing the goods or services at a competitive price while maintaining a competitive bidding environment. When contractors have to bid on larger contracts, they should be competitive without a preference, which would be more costly to Hawaii taxpayers. While there may be modest increase to costs for bid contracts as a result of local preference, these costs will be offset by increases in state and county revenues from additional business activity, from the creation of additional work and employment for Hawaii people, and from the building of sustainable economies in the state. And that can be improved, I'm sure, but I wanted to put something in the draft that went in, so.
Hey, Greg, I also wonder about the principal place of business definition. Could a mainland firm could just get a PO box here and
Oh, yeah. There is another part of that definition, which is to qualify for local preference, the Hawaii business has to certify that it's not less than 80% of its employees are in Hawaii. And this was a major point of the CPA's bill. The point being that as long as most of the people doing the work are Hawaii people, they're fine with a mainland company opening up a Hawaii office as long as they employ Hawaii people. So it doesn't.
Don't most of these entities have to be like HCE compliant if they're doing work for government?
Yeah.
So would that be part of the self-regulatory aspect? Hawaii Compliance Express?
They would all have to be if they're bidding on government contracts regardless.
So they would have, is that to qualify to do business here?
Yeah, if you're bidding on a contract, you
Yeah.
always have to show that you're compliant with
Right,
current taxes.
but they don't have to be a Hawaii business.
Correct.
So I think the definition, Keone, the define Hawaii business definition that's in the draft, if you look at part B, and it is self-certification, which I think was borrowed from the CPA's bill, requires them to self-certify that 80% of the labor will come from Hawaii employees. And that's measured based on time and expense.
yeah, I think that 80% number may be really high for some industries. So I wonder if a language could be put in around like requiring best efforts if the 80% cannot be met. Either that or like setting industry specific thresholds, but that might be harder. Because I'm thinking about like the tech stuff, the IT stuff, like more specialty stuff that may not be possible to hit 80% in Hawaii. I'm just trying to look for ways that they're like this could be attacked.
And if you don't have the 80% of local employees, you're just not getting the preference in the bid. Still bid, there might be no one else bidding on it, right? There might be no local vendors, period.
Well, I think Keone's saying that to make it a little easier to meet, because sometimes you outsource to the mainland, but I guess my reaction to that is, well, then you don't get the preference, like you're
Right,
saying,
you don't
but,
get the preference, that's,
but, you know, if you really want to
Might as well
get the
work.
preference, you need to spend the money here.
Right.
Which is kind of the end goal, to build our capacity, and maybe you need these IT people, you need to find them in Hawaii then, you know, but I hear you, you know, I mean, we're gonna have a lot of comments, I'm sure. But again, you know, this actually was just cockroach from the current law, the CPA accounting bill, I'm pretty sure. Cause I didn't make this up. I decided strategically, we wanna go with what's already been used, because then it's easier to, you know, to sell the idea. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of adjustments we can make. I think for today, we just wanted to get we're asking for permission to decide whether it wants to agree to this concept. And
Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you, Greg, for taking the lead on this.
yeah, well, I just like pushing things along, but we'll see what happens.
We do need to make a motion. Someone
Oh.
make a motion.
Yeah,
I
so
guess,
I
yeah.
was thinking with regard to it's establishing the purpose for this reiteration of the pay, as Deb stated earlier. But I think, you know, your kind of whereas statements, that first
Yeah.
paragraph that you've added, this is kind of what we do in grant documents, and you're just making a lot of assertions, and you're not really backing it up with any data yet.
Right.
And so I think that hopefully our data team or the members of the PIG could help to come up with that. Because I think that, as Keone mentioned, will really strengthen the economic argument. And it needs the data to show why, or, you know, whether we're using some data from another place, that what happened before and after they instituted a local procurement preference. I definitely would be concerned about the monitoring in terms of the rules. When you set up, you have to be this, that, and the other thing, somebody has to enforce that somehow. And right now, there aren't people either in the state or the counties that do that. And so as best that we can anticipate those pushbacks and suggest how it could be dealt with would be
Well,
good.
you know, when they certify it, you know, it's in advance, right? But if in reality, if they don't meet their test, then under the draft, they lose their preference. They have to pay more money.
So for example,
But then-
you could put in there that when you get your HCE, Hawaii
Yeah.
Compliance Express or BSS, that, you know, this program, like somewhere in the legislative language, that it will insert these 3 new elements into Hawaii Compliance
Right.
Express and vendor self-service to make sure that, you know, a business either complies or does not.
Right, because you want them to certify after the fact as well, you know, that they have complied. Maybe, I mean, I'm just being a lawyer now, but maybe we could put language in that anytime they accept a payment under the preference amounts to a certification by the law. Because then you don't have to do anything.
Well, and write it in there, so
That's what I'm
the
saying.
procurement
That would-
office isn't trying to figure out. Like, there's not a whole set of administrative rules that has to be created after this. So there's pros and cons to putting all of this detail in the legislative language, but a lot of cons, I think, if you leave it up to an administrative rules process,
Yeah.
because it can get bogged down in that and lead to delay of implementation. Or people
It's
putting,
enforceable to say that if you accepted a payment with the, having received it under preference, that amounts to a representation that you're still compliant. But I don't see why it wouldn't be enforceable. They don't have to take advantage of it. But that way you don't have to do anything, and they could still be accused of fraud by not divulge. Actually, put an obligation that they need, I think it says there, they need to tell us if they're not compliant. But, you know, are they going to or not? So if people cheat and they get away with it, then, you know, we can't necessarily uncover all of it, like, you know, tax evasion, but you want to just know that if you do uncover it, you have some ammunition against them. So, okay, we'll definitely take that under advisement. But I thought that the self-certification was fairly easy. I mean, compared to other ways, things you could require, but it does require more than nothing, because you gotta have them sign something, right?
Yeah, but I think if you identify like how it's done, I'm gonna guess many state legislators don't even know that HCE and BSS exist.
Right.
And so there are tools, there are processes that you have to follow to even go after a government contract. That if you kind of know that that's what we would use that for, instead of self-certification and certified through this existing government process for businesses.
We have to deal with that level of comment, then I feel like we're, you know, we're in a good place.
You will be if you're in a.
No, I know, but I'm just saying then
That's a good
that means
guideline.
we've gone over the hump of, well, is this a good thing to do? Which, you know, that those kinds of things are solvable, I think.
Yeah, I'm just saying also, just to reiterate what Keone said, often just the state administrative opposition to a bill can
Could
sink
kill
it. Because this is one thing if it's like people doing work, it's another thing if it's they come up and say, this is gonna cost us $50,000 for year one and 2 new employees, you know, something like that.
Okay, that's a good, yeah, maybe I'll tweak it some more to try to take them out of the loop in terms of having to do anything. Then it's just
So
something to use.
are we, the motion is then to support the intent of this bill being introduced by the commission through Senator Wakai and Rep. Elion, knowing that it will evolve and change, right? And then are we also voting on reestablishing or extending the PEG? I wasn't clear on that part.
It should be both. So
Both.
if you want the commission to support this bill as,
Mhm.
as a,
So we should do two different motions.
it's your choice, and then which group you're authorizing then to work on the legislation, right? So to talk to Senator Wakai, who could meet with Senator Iligan, who could do whatever, who could draft testimony on behalf of the commission.
So is it a continuing thing or just a new?
I think it's gonna be.
New.
So first motion.
It can be the same people. right?
Same people,
It
but
could be if you wanted to the same people, it could be the same people,
Well,
but
yeah.
I think it's a new thing.
We can make it all one motion, you said?
No,
I don't know,
I think
I
you
would
need
do
to do
two.
two.
I would do
and
two.
Someone needs to articulate the purpose of the new thing.
Right.
So shall we do the motion on the legislation
On the
itself,
legislation.
whether the commission wants to support?
So I guess I move that the commission support legislation to advance a local preference for Hawaii contracts awarded by purchasing agencies in the state, whether that be the state or the county. In principle, along the lines of the draft that has been circulated, with such changes as may naturally evolve during the legislative process.
I second.
Okay, do we have a motion, second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, so then the next motion is to create a PEG. Or no, I'm sorry, do we have to take a vote?
Discussion, is there discussion and a vote?
I have a
Oh,
question.
sorry.
Well, is there anyone in the city that would not want us to do this? But we're gonna get like,
Well, that's a part of why we gave it to the
That's why it's sort of
mayor's.
safe
Yeah, okay.
to look at, because
you haven't heard yet,
some of those same questions may come up, right, from like budget and finance, so about for this cost.
you haven't gotten any, like, no way. No.
Not yet, but it is circulating. for
That's what
comment,
I'm asking.
So,
Yeah.
correct,
Okay.
so does the
Well, I-
departments have
Gotcha.
concerns?
Well, I think we should, I think we should just go for it, see what happens.
Gonna try.
Might not happen this session, but.
Okay. Any more discussion, questions?
Just one more thought on the draft bill language. The portion about the percentage, it's let's see, not less than 80% of the labor in firms of the contract will be incurred by persons domiciled in the state. Um, it might be something to look into, like look at the total value of the contract, including like, other purchases under the contract besides labor. Um, I'm just thinking of like certain types of contracts that are maybe short in labor but high in other expenses, and to the extent that those other expenses could all be, spent importing stuff, it wouldn't, accomplish the goals, the intentions of this bill. So like a food purchasing contract, for example, you might have like a few people who are administering a food purchasing program, but if they're purchasing all the food from abroad, like what difference is it really making? So maybe there are certain types of contracts where it's not the labor expenses, but it's the other types of expenses under the contract that should also be considered.
Yeah, I think that in that case, you could still argue that you're helping those two people in Hawaii
Right.
craft, and the expense from out of state would have happened anyway. But at least you've got a couple Hawaii employees there, but I hear you,
Yeah, you're right.
but it's gonna be hard to craft something that's gonna cover all contingencies,
Yep.
Just wanna get most of it right, There's always gonna be people that are gonna try to manipulate it. But
Yeah, no, the labor is definitely a good place to start, and I agree with that.
yeah. I mean, we could have a definition that said 8% labor and 8% of total cost has to be expended in Hawaii. I don't know what that does to the universe of contracts, but it certainly limits it. Well, we can think about these things, and it's a moving target, So. If the commissioner.
My vote is in support.
But email me if you have comments like that or others too, because it's gonna be a living document. Or a dying document.
Okay, any other discussion, questions?
This is
Yeah.
Melly. I think I'm in support as well, of course. But I would agree with Olu's comment. Like even with some of our product companies, they don't make everything here. Like even Hawaiian Soda Co. Like that'd be a way better soda than Coca-Cola or whatever. But like they don't produce their sodas here. So I do think it's important for us to, as even if we've modeled this after successful templates in other places, like where have they seen folks gaming the system with unintended consequences, which I think could be maybe an easy AI query or not. But I do think that's interesting for discussion, and just wanted to chime in on that.
It's a good point, actually, because if this was in the CPA's bill, most of their expense is people. So maybe it deserves some attention here. Whereas 80% of labor and something else. Because we don't want to exclude labor, because you could, spend money here but have no employees. So okay, well, those are good comments. Thank you.
Okay, good discussion, everybody. Thank you. All right, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all opposed? Thank you, Greg. Okay, so moving on to the creation of a new pig, it sounds like we have to do for the introduction and legislative process of the bill for 2026.
The pig is not introducing the bill, but we'll be monitoring it and providing testimony. No, I guess, can I do that on behalf of the commission itself, or just as the pig? Probably as the pig, right? Because they can't speak for the commission.
So if you can, it's authorized, right?
So would the commissioners want the pig providing testimony, without their approval? for them.
That's the point.
That's the point.
The point of the pig is to give the group a sort of a focused singular task that the entire commission is delegating to this pig to do. That the pig would be authorized to document, to draft testimony, it's a testimony on behalf of the commission, et cetera. Meet with lawmakers on behalf of the commission.
Should the pig have to check with the commission on anything? Or is it just off on its own?
Usually it is,
They
if
would
it's
report
any,
every
they report every meeting, and if it's any sort of deviation from what you just voted on, if the bill goes in a wildly left direction, you need to check back with the commission.
They'll report to the commission.
If it's going along, if it's to support the bill as you just discussed, then maybe authorized. If it's suddenly something completely different, you need to come back because it's no longer that.
So we need a draft statement for the purpose of the pig.
Okay, so purpose would be to monitor the status of the bill, any amendments, and to provide testimony in connection with the bill. I suppose that could be in support or against, right? This depends on how it evolves. But I would imagine most of it would be in support. And to keep the commission apprised of its testimony and status of the bill. Would that only have to be in meetings or could it be in between? Well, we don't have to say, I guess.
Yeah.
So it'd
So
be
the
to
pig would
monitor,
be established to monitor the status of the bill and provide testimony from the commission. Do we wanna give the pig authority to offer amendments or change the draft?
I think testimony would often include amendments, right? So it could be testimony including any proposed amendments.
Yeah. Do you also want the pig to meet directly with lawmakers? In this development phase, or, this testimony, it's like
So,
show up at the
yes.
hearing versus go and meet with, senator.
So add pedestrian and to meet with lawmakers. Would it be also the staff? That would it be just the lawmakers?
Presume, you're kind of getting a meeting with Senator so-and-so.
But let's say the state procurement office does something, you be able to meet them or. Okay.
If you put it in, this is what you're authorized to do.
Okay.
This is, right, you're, it's, the full commission is authorizing this small group to
Lawmakers,
work.
lawmakers, others. Stakeholders.
Could be other stakeholders, yeah, other stakeholders, but you're only authorized to meet with people on this bill. There's other bills that come up, you're not authorized to meet.
Well, the House bill would be covered also.
The same bill.
Okay,
It's just two.
oh, okay, so if there's another procurement bill circulating. we would-
Or something wildly different. There's something else about economic development.
That's the
This change
attention
is
of the
not,
commission, yeah.
not authorized to do that.
So here's what I have. The pig would be established to monitor the status of the procurement preference bill, meet with lawmakers and other stakeholders, and provide testimony and proposed amendments for the commission.
Okay. All right. I don't want to have to say that again.
Would you want to write it on there? Like,
So did everyone hear that? If
one more
that,
time.
yeah.
The pig is established to monitor the status of the procurement preference bill, to meet with lawmakers and other stakeholders, and provide testimony and propose amendments for the commission.
Like, can't say that.
Do you need it written down, you guys, to approve, or
I think we get it, yeah. Okay, can I have a second?
A second.
Okay. Any discussion, questions, changes? This is going to evolve over the whole period. But the good thing about having the House and the Senate bill versions introduced is that it has more likelihood to pass, in one house with the other. Gives it more of a shot. So okay, any other discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, seeing none. Now, do we have to pick who's on the pig today?
Well, frankly, we discussed continuing the same membership. And then if someone wants to join, we can also add. I'm sorry?
Just remind people.
Oh, okay. It's me, Eliza, and Melly. And I think we have room for at least one more, and maybe if more than one wants to join, we can rotate off, but. Does anyone want to join?
You're good. You're good.
I would love to ask Olu and Keone and all for advice and just to look at the measures before they're introduced and give your feedback if you're willing.
I'm happy to take a look at it.
Awesome. Thanks. Keone's giving the whoa, I've never seen that kind of thumbs up. That's awesome. Okay. All right, thanks you guys. All right, moving on. New business. Um, I don't have a lot to say here, but I did want to just put in a plug for, you know, we serve a really important role as advocates for OER. And so I just want to really ask all of you, and I think, most of us have been doing this already, but, whenever you have a chance to really kind of talk about the good work OER does, our programs, our team, the staff. Please do. It means a lot to the council members, and it really helps in all the efforts and programs that OER is working so hard to finish and achieve. And so, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. So we will really need your help to advocate for these bills, and our initiatives and things coming up. So please do if you can. If you need, I'm sure we can always draft sample testimony and things like that to make it easy for you guys, but we just love to have your support, continued support. The only other thing I wanted to add was congrats to Melly on Mana Up Showcase. It was fantastic as always, but this year was just like over the top. So thank you for the invites, and that was just amazing.
Thank you for coming. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. And then just wanted to throw out December 2nd, the Kapolei Chamber is having their holiday luncheon. I bring it up because Maynette is retiring from UH West Oahu as the Chancellor, Maynette Benham. And we will be giving her a small award in appreciation if any of you are interested in being there for that. Just wanted to give you the opportunity to come. Also, the mayor will be speaking as well. And I think that is all I have. Does anyone else have any announcements or things they want to share with the commission before we adjourn? Okay, seeing none. I'm gonna move to adjourn. Can I get someone to move to adjourn?
Well, I
So
just want to wish
moved.
you happy holidays and that I'm grateful for this commission and the work it does. And, we're just trying to help, right? We have no mixed motives around that. So I think it's a great commission and I love helping the city. It's like where the rubber meets the road for people. So it's been great. Thank you for your courage to do things.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn is approved. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
All right, take
Bye.
care.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Hi, everybody.
Eliza,
happy holidays.
Greg,
To
seconded
adjourn.
with happy
Yeah.
holidays.
Happy holiday. 1:55. Yeah. Great. Perfect. Great, you're official.
So we don't meet till next year, right?
Correct.
Sorry.
Which is why it was important to have the
Yes.
big established today, otherwise you're not gonna use it.